Casey, thanks. And with me now is Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clarke. All right, Sheriff, thanks for being with us. What's your take on this?
Crazy. It's almost surreal what happened in Dallas. Only by the grace of God was a law enforcement officer or some citizen not killed. But look, these things are starting to become more frequent now, and they're coming from three sources, these assault on police officers. One of the cop-hating anarchists who are assaulting law enforcement officers, the criminal element assaulting and killing law enforcement officers. We saw it in New York with the deaths of those three officers. 2 officers shot in St. Louis. We saw the Garland, Texas, ISIS type situation. That's a whole new ball game there. We saw it in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. When ISIS encourages homegrown terrorists to assault law enforcement officers, we saw the incident in Boston, where that guy was on his way to try to behead a law enforcement officer. And, Judge, we get nothing from the White House. We have foreign sources, a foreign terror, serious terror group making threats against not only U.S. citizens, but law enforcement officers and military personnel here at home. And there is no sense of urgency on the part of this White House to hold those individuals accountable, and I mean more than just rhetoric about we're going to bring them to justice.
And, you know, when you think about this, you know, it's almost like a full-pronged attack on law enforcement and the military, which is, you know, the only real semblance that keeps chaos back, are really now considered the targets, and they're really now the bad guys.
You know, the ISIS, when it comes to the ISIS, and even the criminal element, you can use all three of these, the anarchists as well. They know that there's not going to be much done about these threats and these assaults on the American law enforcement officer. ISIS knows that this administration doesn't have the will or the resolve to make them pay. And when I say that, I'm talking about make their lives hell for threatening the lives of U.S. citizens here at home, much less abroad.
Well, look at right here in New York City. There was a counterterrorism unit in the police department that has pretty much been cut back by Mayor de Blasio, although now they're saying, well, we have some of it up and going, that's supposed to investigate some of these organizations that might be, you know, promoting the kind of jihad mentality, and we're pulling back on it.
You know, they have their hands tied now, and not just in New York, but in other areas because of this sensitivity. You know, you've heard the president talk about he wants law enforcement officers to engage in more dialogue and to de-escalate and that sort of thing. Look, the use of force in American policing are inseparable, unfortunately. And to try to declaw the American law enforcement officer is only going to embolden these individuals. That's why we're seeing these things escalate. This thing down in Dallas, this was surreal to watch this thing.
You know, this guy was in some kind of armored vehicle.
And we've heard this, you know, from the President of the United States as well, you know, this cutting back on equipment, the militarization or demilitarization of the American law enforcement officer or agencies. Judge, this isn't, we're not in Kansas anymore. Okay? Unfortunately, this is the state of things, and if we don't realize, when I say we in law enforcement realize it, but if this administration doesn't get behind law enforcement instead of continually blasting us like has gone on ever since the days of Ferguson, you're going to continue to see these individuals, the criminals, the cop-hating anarchists, and now ISIS. That's a game changer, Judge. That's a game changer for me.
All right. You're a sheriff in a big county. What do you tell the men and women on the force?
Well, I tell them, you keep your head up, first of all. Keep your chin up. Get in there. Do right by people. Go out there. Make your community safe. Let me fight the politics. And I'll have your back. As long as you do things within our policy and within the Constitution of the United States, I will fight the political class. And that's what I aim to keep doing here.
And they're lucky to have you. Sheriff Clarke, always good to have you on the show.
Thank you, Judge.